Alright, YouTube, this is the Nooga Cowboy, Cowboy and the Indian. And today, I'm doing something special, I guess you could say. I have a friend who I took the motorcycle safety course with. And he's out of town a lot for work. So after the motorcycle safety course, he bought a Honda Rebel 500, first bike. So doesn't get to ride it much. So insert me. He asked me to come out and ride it a little bit for him while he's out of town. So that's what I'm doing. Perfect timing. Perfect idea for another comparison. I did the Harley, the Iron 883, however you decide to say it, and which I think is a great beginner bike. But also the Rebel 500, also known as a great beginner bike. So coming not fresh, but I still remember the ride from the Harley, and plus obviously I know the ride of my motorcycle. Thought we'd do a little comparison. We'll stop and get some gas here in a little bit, so we'll be interrupted for a few minutes. One thing right away is the controls, mid controls, just like the Harley. And if you watch the Harley Scout 60 comparison, you would know that I found that very uncomfortable in the beginning, but something that, you know, I got used to. Yeah, so really no problems now. Just something you gotta, it takes me back to the actual safety course where you had those old Suzukis and, you know, just old Hondas. So all those were mid controls, but mid controls on the Honda Rebel 500. And I could tell right away that this is even more a beginner bike than the Harley. No doubt about it. If you are a new spanking rider, just got your license and want to buy your first motorcycle, don't want to break the bank, this would be a great option for you. It's got enough power, but you can definitely tell it's lacking. I don't see how my boy's doing it. He's got to be scrunched up on this thing. But we're going, what is it? Oh, about around a little over 50 right now. Feels pretty good. Smaller bike, as you'd expect. It seems to be even small. I mean, just barely though. Smaller than the Harley 883, from what I'm remembering. But definitely, if you want to get around town, you can definitely use this bike. You know, I usually travel 20 plus miles one way to work. I don't think this bike would work, you know, if you're on the interstate, doing 70 and 80, if that's your bag, probably wouldn't work for you. Not that it can't do it, but you know, it's Definitely more of a around town bike. And I believe this is a 20. I think it's a 2018. Could be a 2019. Not sure. I mean, it's a decent riding bike, though. I mean, as far as, you know, suspension, doesn't feel too bad. Of course, I haven't hit any major potholes or bumps yet, so. And I'm 5'11", and my friend is, well, he's a lot taller than that, so I'm feeling, you know, a little bunched up here. So I can only imagine what he feels. And I gotta check this. I'm not familiar with Honda, so when you turn on the turn signal, I don't know if that's just the way it does it, or no. Okay. Just like the Indian models, where when you turn on the signal, if you push the button to the left, it's going to put on a left turn signal. If you push it to the right, it's going to obviously be the right turn signal. But when you do that here, as you can see, it looks like a hazard light. So that's different. I'll turn that off. Okay. Let's fill our boy up here. If I had time, I'd wash his bike for him. Nice.
Thank you, man.
What year is it?
62.
Looks good. This is my friend's bike, but I'll trade it. Yeah. Have a good Sunday, brother.
Be safe out there.
All right, here we go, back on the road. Nice looking car. I'll definitely take that. Nah, I wouldn't trade your bike, bro. I wouldn't even trade mine. Just going on performance. I mean, just a little acceleration there. Not bad, but you're talking about a beginner bike here. We'll see if we can get more of an idea of what we really got off this red light. Brakes are tremendous. Well, see what we got. Yeah, not bad. It just feels like a smaller bike than the Harley, the Iron 883. I'm not going to answer the question, would I buy this bike, because I'd buy every bike that I could fit on. I could fit on this. So you can see my legs right here. And that's a seating position a lot of guys would find comfortable. Again, I'm just so used to the forward controls. It's a little uncomfortable for me. If you want some upper tier, and it's not fair to compare this bike, the Honda 500 versus the Scout 60. It's a different level. I'm not saying that because I own one, it just is based on performance when riding these different motorcycles. But this is a light bike. I'll put all the specs in the description, so you don't have to worry about that. You can see exactly what kind of what CCs are working with, the weight of the bike, dry versus liquids, so you can have an idea of what to expect. I always love that. 2 down, baby, 2 down. But for instance, just on this test ride, you know, if I'm just riding around town, this is a perfect bike for that. And I always thought of the Honda 500 as the ultimate beginner bike, and I think this has solidified that thought. Not much, not too much power, enough to get around. And you can handle the bike. Again, that throws me off, the turn signal. You think hazards? Why do I have the hazards on? But it's right. And I do not think this has the you have to turn the blinker off. I don't think it has automatic turn off. But any motorcycle to me is pretty fun to ride. So if you're a beginner out there, again, I would probably start off with this bike. No, I would definitely start off with this bike. Save yourself a little money. You should be able to find a used one, because this is what a lot of people do. You get the Rebel 500, sometimes even smaller. They ride it 6 months to a year just to get the feel of the bike, being on the road, being on the interstates, the highways, being around, you know, big vehicles, tractor trailers, how to deal with all that, getting comfortable with all that, and then they trade it in. So it should be very easy to find a used Rebel somewhere. With it being used, and we all know with it being used, you're going to save a lot of money, but we all know with the Honda name, it's just synonymous with durability and reliability. I haven't checked the trade-in numbers, but you buy a used one, you ride it a little bit, you trade it back in, I think you're going to be surprised. Now, if I'm totally off on that, please let me know in the comment section. But when I think of the Honda Rebel 500, okay, I'm not necessarily thinking performance, handling, all that. I'm thinking beginner bike, and I'm thinking budget friendly. And when you do go for that trade-in, after you have rode it for 6 months to a year to learn how to ride a motorcycle, as they always said in the safety course, when you pass it, okay, congrats, you know how to ride in the parking lot. That's exactly right. You're not in the real world, so to speak. You know, you're not riding on the highway or the interstate. It's something you have to get used to. Beginner bike, budget friendly. It's a smart way to go when you're just learning how to ride. It really is. So we're about to wrap up this ride. The Honda Rebel 500. Beginner, budget friendly. Just remember those words. And it's a great bike to learn on. Even if you haven't taken the safety course, definitely a bike that you can get on and learn how to ride. Definitely suggest it. Give a quick look at it. It's a little dirty. Wish I could have washed it for him. The Honda Rebel 500. It's a decent looking bike. Almost got that Brahma Bull look to it. So in this order, between the Harley 883, the Honda Rebel 500, and the Scout 60. Scout 60 number 1. We're just talking overall. The Harley number 2, and this one 3. If we're talking about beginner bike, this is number 1 by far. Then the Harley, and then the Scout 60. Make sure you join us on Facebook, Cowboy and the Indian. Also on Instagram, Cowboy and the Indian. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for viewing the channel. Share it with your friends. Until next time, this is the Nooga Cowboy.